Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kevin Felix. On my channel, I'd like talking about movies and movie reviews and topics. Where usually I'll have segments saying, talking Ant-Man or talking this, which is segments of talking about the production, where I think things are going, stuff along those lines. Today I will be talking about the Ant-Man and what I think is going to be happening with that, being that they had just started production. I think just 2 days ago. Which is very important for them to just make sure they make their I think July 1st or something like that deadline, where they have to, it's going to be out for us to see. But yeah, thanks for watching my channel. If you like it, I would very much appreciate it if you could subscribe down there or something, somewhere along that line. But yeah, just here to talk about Ant-Man. Being that they just started production and that Edgar Wright is no longer involved, which most of us probably know, I'm very optimistic. Like, I'm even more optimistic about this film than I was with Guardians. Like, from seeing early pictures of Guardians and videos, I really think they had it in the ball. Like, they knew what they were doing, and yeah, it's gonna be very interesting what they do with it. Like, I've read the comic. Like, I think this could be an easy movie. Like, no offense, I understand no movie's easy to make, but in the line of storyline, they could just weave this in. See, they've already said they're gonna weave in Shield somehow, some involvement. I say every movie has some involvement with Shield, which is easy. Like, they might show something at the end where it shows an older. Yeah, I think they've already talked about John Slattery. Actually being in, I think he could be in the end credit scene where he actually talks to Michael Douglas, who is actually from the comics. He is the original Ant-Man. Like, he's gonna be, I think, not Zach Penn. Who is it? It's the second Ant-Man that's gonna be Paul Rudd. Michael Douglas will be giving up the suit to him or something like that, and there might be, I don't know from the comics exactly what John Slattery, aka Howard Stark's involvement is with Ant-Man, but he may have co-created the suit. Like, you never know. I don't know everything. Obviously, just from that bit of news, I think there could be like a John Slattery, Michael Douglas conversation saying, "Oh, Howard, how is this?" Like, there could be a conversation between the characters saying, this suit could be very dangerous, and stuff like that. I bet it'll be an end credit scene or a flashback for sure. Something along those lines. It's gonna be very interesting because they've always had some involvement, like with Shield or Howard Stark. Like, Howard Stark is a very important character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, being that he created the Shield for Captain America. He gave his son Tony the whole idea for the arc reactor, or the vibranium, like the newer version of the arc reactor, which is more energy efficient. But yeah, he gave him those ideas. Like, he's a very pinnacle character, which, just like Peggy Carter, which they've already said they're going to be making a TV show, which will be out sometime next year. That those are important characters. See, a lot of movies don't go work enough on their secondary primary characters. So the primary characters are, like, they're important, but the secondary ones, like Peggy or Howard Stark, they're important characters too. Like, they should not be thrown away, which is obviously what Marvel's not doing. They're going to be using Peggy Carter, which I really think the TV show is going to be a lot better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., in my own opinion. Other than Phil Coulson, who I've always loved seeing. That's the only reason I ever watch those shows. I hate to be offensive to the other actors, but that show is kind of a joke. Like, the only reason they sorry, I'm really going off on this, but yeah, I wasn't entirely happy with the season. And season 2, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with it. But with Ant-Man and like, it's gonna be pretty awesome. I'm hoping, like, Ant-Man will become really great. Like, I think in my own opinion that they pushed the script because they don't want to push the date. So we just need something that's gonna work. It almost has to be like the Incredible Hulk, where the script wasn't awesome, but it was still good enough to get people inside the theater. And being that the whole Marvel brand is what really pushes audiences to go watch these films, because Marvel Studios has been so good with every single one of their films. Like, not every film's awesome. Like Thor: The Dark World, I still love Thor too, but it just skimmed over like a lot of critics with 62% or 65% rating with the with movie critics. But it doesn't have to be awesome as long as it's good enough where it has people involved and being very entertained. Then yeah, there shouldn't be a problem. And movie doesn't have to be great. I think Guardians had to be great in its own essence. If it didn't do awesome, then it didn't do what it set out to do in the first place, which is to be something different. But with Ant-Man, like, it's gonna be very grounded in a film like that. Like, they won't be anything cosmic. They might have cameos of the Stark Tower. They'll probably have references in some form to like Avengers 2. Like, it's gonna be interesting what they do with this. But as we all know, all these films are leading up to Thanos in Avengers 3, which is everybody thinks, or it could be Avengers 4. I don't know. They might go up against Thanos and say, oh, defeat him, but actually not defeat him, and he'll come back for a fourth. I don't know, but anyways, trying to keep the Ant-Man here. Like with Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, who's obviously being cast for that film. I'm hoping Wasp will make an appearance. Like, I know Joss, I think it was Joss and Kevin, who obviously, I think, said in very, very early interviews that Wasp will not be in there. It'll be a whole different character. It'll only be Ant-Man. I could be wrong on that. I just from seeing earlier interviews with Kevin Feige and Joss Whedon that they would and will not have those characters. And I really think from the animated series, obviously from the Avengers, from the very early animated series back in early 2000s. That though, like I like Wasp. She was a very compelling character. Like I obviously from the animated to movies, things are different, but I really think it's very important to have characters like that. Like it's Wasp. Yeah, I can do similar things to Ant-Man, but like similar things, like I'll make smaller and have those abilities. But if they can seriously give Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver their abilities through obviously not being able to be mutants because of the Fox the rights. And they can't be related to Magneto or nothing like that. And they got their abilities basically from Loki's staff, from the kind of the Tesseract energy that is embedded in the stick, is basically his scepter. And from what I saw in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the end credit scene with them, flying around, and then, or not flying around, sorry, seeing what's his name, Aaron Taylor Johnson, going around his cell, and he looks like. He's Quicksilver. It looked really great. I like that. And then seeing Scarlet Witch, I forget her name, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. But seeing her use her abilities, like, it looked really good, and it looked almost like the comics. It did, and it's gonna be very. If they can do that, I don't think they should have a problem putting Wasp and Ant-Man. Seriously, because I think Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch could have been some of the hardest characters to put in with the Avengers. Because they have to make things so smooth. They can't make it rigid where they're just forcing them into the Avengers. Like, obviously they'll be the bad guys at the very beginning, but they'll end up being the good guys at the end with the Avengers. So it'd be very cool what happens here. Yeah, it's gonna be very tedious. I'll use that word tedious because I really don't know what's gonna happen with this film. This could be one of the most grounder films, more grounded than Iron Man was. This film, I just think in my own opinion, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting what happens. Beyond that, like I think that's gonna be Ant-Man, Doctor Strange 2016. What else am I thinking? Probably actually I think it's gonna be Thor. No. What am I thinking? Ant-Man, Captain America 2, Thor 3. I bet I think come right after that, and then they'll have that'll be 2017 going in 2017. I think it's going to be Doctor Strange and then Guardians of the Galaxy that will finish off 2017, and then we'll have either an early Marvel movie in 2017 or we will have the Avengers 3 in the summer of 2017. And it's going to be very interesting what they do with it. Like, we all know that Thanos will eventually get the Infinity Gauntlet. but we just from seeing the movies, he hasn't really had any luck at all getting any of the stones. Like from losing the Tesseract in the first Avengers, not getting any of the stones in Guardians. Like I just don't know how they could drag this out through a couple of Avenger films, but we'll have to see. But obviously with Ant-Man, like I'm really happy that Michael Douglas is involved in Ant-Man. He's good. He's a good actor. Paul Rudd. I had to think about Paul Rudd. This is probably the very first film he's ever worked on that has really had a very constructive universe built around it ever. Like he's always done really funny comedy stuff like that, but nothing this serious. Like not serious, but where he really has to pull it off and be Scott Lang. There we go. I think it was gonna be Scott Lang. Sorry. So he really has to pull this off, and he has the look. I'm not saying he doesn't have the look. And I think before that, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was due to be Ant-Man. But I actually have to agree with Paul Rudd. He has that similar look. Like I think they're trying to go back to the animated series in a way where they have to look very similar. And I don't know. That's my own opinion about it. I'm not exactly any expert on it. But yeah, Paul Rudd I think was a good cast. And because he can be very comedic. Because and we all know Scott Lang. I believe it's gonna be Scott Lang. Who was very comedic in the comics, and who's very comedic in the animated series. So he's he's even just like Iron Man. He's like Tony Stark, where he's very comedic and funny. But in this one, he seems to, at least from what I've heard, obviously in interviews too, that he may start out as kind of a thief or someone almost like a Star-Lord, where he's just stealing stuff, making money, but he does have a moral center in him, where he'll end up being finding a good guy. So it's gonna be very cool what they do. I just hope that the story's good, because I'm very apprehensive about what's gonna Edgar Wright not being involved in it. Like he's a very important figure in that franchise, and losing him, I don't know. I think this Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios has so much confidence that he will do well, being how far they've gone with all these films. I just have to say that they have to make sure not to get too far ahead of themselves. They have to be easy. They can't be rushing movies out like crazy. Like they should actually take a book from WB, who was obviously, we all know, is pushing that. They pushed the Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, a whole year, and they're just finishing production now, which is good because it gave them all that time to do all the editing and getting the script right. Like you should never rush a film like Batman vs Superman. It's called giving it time. I couldn't care less if they pushed it as they did push it to 2016. Sorry, that I'm happy. Like I wasn't happy that they pushed it so long, but being that that a lot of sites and even Zack Snyder had said in a few interviews that they wanted to get this right and they need the time, so they have a whole extra year in case they want to do reshoots or do some redos. Like this is enough where they covered all their bases and all sorts things like that, because they just don't. It's no good rushing movies out like the whole shitty Green Lantern film that came out a couple of years ago. God, that was horrible. And I'm not gonna say anything bad about Ryan Reynolds, because he could play a good Green Lantern. He can play a good Deadpool. I actually seen that footage that had come out back I think a couple of weeks ago of his voice being used in a test footage of being Deadpool, and that was freaking awesome, and it worked. It did need to be rated R, and there was no blood in there. They were just taking heads off. So and it was really funny seeing those scenes. So I really think that could work. With Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds, but it was getting back to Ant-Man. I keep flipping off on to other stuff, but it's gonna be very good, and I do have confidence in the project. It's just that the story has to be good. The story really it works around the story and all that. Like I'm very up and down what's gonna happen with the project. But those are what my thoughts are. Like I'm so happy that they got in production, but as long as they don't rush it, they do not rush it. They want to get everything right, and because Marvel Studios has always been really good at having films done more than a year prior than the one just like they started this finished Avengers: Age of Ultron, and they just finished it, and it's gonna be in the vault until next July, or when they start shooting out trailers and stuff like that. Like they work so far ahead and they have to make sure that everything is in where it's supposed to be, and not like trying to do too much too fast. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, like I still have complete confidence in Marvel. It's just they have to be very cautious about certain films like Doctor Strange that have to be given like the respect it deserves, and all that, being such a very popular character such as Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange. Like I'm really looking forward to seeing magic, like being that we never saw that in the Mandarin, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just that the whole overall look of this is that Marvel has to continue taking their time making these films, getting the script right. Like they come this far, and I still have 100% confidence. I've never seen anything I didn't like about these films, but they can't get too far ahead or too cocky. I'll use the word cocky. I don't mean to be rude, but don't get too cocky. It's because you're ahead of the curve compared to some other studios such as Sony or WB, who are obviously. I think Sony's in the worser place because they even after their film came out, oh god, for the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like I liked it, but I thought it was like 5 steps back compared to the last one. It's like they shoved so much action in there, and the storyline was horrible. Like I thought even the last Spider-Man movie that came out, all those years ago. I think it was back in 2005 or 4 or something like that, with Tobey Maguire. That they had even all of them being based that they're very repetitive with the same character being in the same problem, stuff like that. But with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think they bombed in a way. They still made money, but they have to learn from their mistakes. That's why I think Marvel's so far ahead, because they haven't bombed one film. And they've made money on every film. Like Guardians made $94 million on their opening, and they were projecting maybe $60 million. And that just proves that the Marvel brand gets around, even to those who don't read the comics or not heavily embraced in, I don't know, in Marvel, in comic book hero, stuff like that. Just know that it's a high quality film, and it's worth paying maybe $20 to get in there for popcorn and admission. So as Marvel knows that they have to put out films that are high quality and people are willing to see them, and I think that just proved the point that unknown properties such as Guardians that made that much money. So Ant-Man is known, but like I just don't know what's gonna happen. I think it'll have an opening of maybe 74 million and stuff like that, something like that, because it's really just an origin film, which is good. Doctor Strange will be an origin film, but I think more people know about Doctor Strange as a character or as a figure, as just the name. You wouldn't even know the character, and Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange, that sounds so badass. At least in my head it does. But Ant-Man, it sounds really cool. But yeah, I don't know. Like I might go see it once, but Doctor Strange I might go see it 3 times. Like we'll have to see. Like ultimately, and I can't wait to see Avengers: Age of Ultron next year. I had actually just got the T-shirt from San Diego Comic-Con. It's in the mail. I also got an official Skype T-shirt, Guardians T-shirt. I'll have to show you guys that. That'll come in my next video. And also, I did the ice bucket challenge that my sister had actually challenged me at. That video should be up right after this video. So yeah, it's gonna be very cold. And the reason why, and also just to say, the reason why I'm wearing a red sweater is because I'm a lifeguard and I have to go to work. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. And I'll let you. Hopefully you'll enjoy the ice bucket challenge, because I sure didn't. But it was very cold. But thanks a lot for watching, guys. And my whole where I think Ant-Man's gonna go, and the rest of the movies, and the cinematic universe for Marvel. And but yeah, thanks a lot for watching. My name's Kevin Felix, and if you like this video, please subscribe or like it. It'd be very much appreciated in every way possible. And yeah, peace out, guys.